Rev up your engines! I got a vehicle with a common problem. It's an old Toyota RAV4, it's a 97, and when you start it up when it's cold in the morning, it has a tendency of dying out unless you keep your foot on the gas. But once it warms up, it goes okay. So let's start with a real diagnosis. Sometimes something as simple as clogged air filter or worn spark plug does it. So let's check that. We'll just pop this baby, check the air filter. Looks pretty clean, so it's not the air filter. So let's check some spark plugs. We'll wiggle it around. They're hard to get off when they're this old. Pull it out, get our socket, throw it in, and we'll pull out a spark plug, get it all out. Best to do it on a cold engine so you don't break anything. Aluminum's pretty soft. Actually, it's in excellent shape. It's firing the right temperature, a little light color, nothing's worn out. There's nothing wrong with the spark plugs. So I'll get it back in snug, put it back on. Now, of course, you want to be logical. Check all 4 spark plugs. So I checked them all. They all looked exactly the same. So there's nothing wrong with the spark plugs. Now, a lot of times when a vehicle runs poorly when it's cold, but okay when it's warmed up, it's a weak MAF sensor, mass airflow sensor. But alas, it's an old RAV4. It's a 97. It doesn't have a mass airflow sensor. It has a MAP sensor. Now, they rarely go bad. And on these Toyotas, if they do, they'll generally trip a code from the MAP sensor, and there's no code for the MAP sensor. So the next thing to check for is vacuum leaks. We'll start it up and look for vacuum leaks. Now, as you can see, it's stalled out, because when it's cold outside, you can see my jacket on, it has a tendency of stalling out. So we're going to have to rev it up a little, let it warm up a little, then check for vacuum leaks. We'll check for vacuum leaks. First, listen. Now, I don't hear any vacuum leaks, not at all. I don't hear it sucking air. I kind of doubt it's a vacuum leak. And if you do have a vacuum leak bad enough to make the car die when it starts up first thing in the morning, it's going to show that it's running too lean from sucking too much air. So let's check the data. And when we check the data, this is live data, look at this, long-term fuel trim. It's actually subtracting 7.8% of the fuel. If it had a vacuum leak, it would be adding fuel, not subtracting, because it would have too much air and not enough fuel. This is the opposite, so it's not a vacuum leak. But I have noticed there's the code P0114 for the intake air temperature sensor is erratic. So let's try a new sensor. That could be totally logical. And since it's subtracting fuel, maybe the fuel injector's dirty, so I'm going to run some fuel injector cleaner through it too. So here's the air intake temperature sensor. Simple thing. Here it is right here. Simple to do. Just pull it out. Sensor's in here. Got a rubber grommet. You got to wiggle it a little. Out it comes. Plug the new one in and snap the electrical connection on. That easy. Now I'm going to put some fuel injector cleaner in a gas tank. Now, any fuel injection cleaner that has the PEA, the nitrogen-based cleaner, is perfectly fine. That's the only thing that matters. Chevron Techron, ChemTool has it. Most of the big cleaners have PEA in it. Now, realize there are cleaners that don't have PEA, and that's seafoam. I don't advise using seafoam because it doesn't have any PEA. What happens is these injectors is they need the nitrogen-based cleaner for them and to clean the valves and the fuel injectors. So stick with any of them that say contain PEA. So now the vehicle's been sitting all night. Let's see what happens this morning when we start it up. Starts right up and I put it in gear, no more conking out. Now, it is a good idea to wait till the next morning. You don't know what's going to happen when an engine is ice cold. Lots of things can happen. We figured we had it fixed, but you're not going to know till the next morning when it's cold and you start it up, put it in gear, and it doesn't conk out anymore. So now you know how to diagnose and fix a vehicle that stalls out when it's cold in the morning, but runs okay once it's warmed up. Use your noggin, be logical. There's a lot of stuff you can figure out with a few simple tools like a scan tool and a couple wrenches and a can of fuel injector cleaner. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.